Greetings. I'd like to call this Saco City Council meeting to order. It is Monday, October 4th. The time is 6:30. I'd like to invite all of you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Going to item 4 of the agenda, under general, we have 2 items. Item A is Spirit of America recognition for the Saco Grange. At this time, I would like to invite up Senator Bailey and Representative O'Neill, who will read a legislative sentiment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I am pleased tonight to be here to present the legislature's highest honor, a legislative sentiment, to the Saco Grange, and I'd like to just read it into the record. State of Maine, be it known to all that we, the members of the Senate and House of Representatives, join in recognizing the Saco Grange number 53, recipient of a Spirit of America Foundation Award. The Spirit of America Foundation was established to encourage and promote volunteerism, and the foundation presents awards to honor local individuals, organizations, or projects in appreciation of community service. We extend our congratulations and best wishes, and be it ordered that this official expression of sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the 130th Legislature and the people of the state of Maine. It's signed by the President of the Senate, the Secretary of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the Clerk of the House, co-sponsored by the entire Saco delegation. And we're also joined here by Representative O'Neill and Representative Copeland. I would just like to say briefly, and I was just saying this to the members who are here from the Grange, that I think this award is very fitting and that the recognition is very deserving, and hopefully people will now have a better awareness that the Grange does more than bean suppers. And although they do great bean suppers, they do a whole heck of a lot more, and they do it really well. And I don't know if Representative O'Neill or Representative Copeland, you wanted to say anything?
I'll keep it brief, but just to add, thank you on behalf of the entire legislature for all the contributions the Grange and its members have made to our community. You're pillars, and we appreciate it.
And I'll just chime in to say that there are good things that happen there. It's a great sense of community when you go there, and the bean suppers are really good.
Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. There's a little bit more excitement. City of Saco, Office of the Mayor, 2021 Spirit America Award winner, Saco Grange number 53. Whereas Saco Grange number 53 was started in 1874 and has done so much to help people over the past 140 years. And whereas it is renowned for the many lap quilts and afghans it is made for the New Hope Hospice Program. And in recent years, the Grange number 53 has organized plant and book sales, craft fairs, and conducted gardening and hunter safety classes. And whereas the Grange hosted Jerry Sanders concerts, an acoustic country jam, and blood drives. And whereas the Grange has donated to Caring Unlimited, Creative Works, and other charitable causes, and organized fundraising bean suppers. Now, therefore, I, William Doyle, Mayor of Saco, on behalf of the City Council, hereby resolve with sincere gratitude and appreciation that the Saco Grange is recognized for its commitment to the community with the 2021 Saco Spirit of America Foundation Award. Thank you very much for all that you do. Thank you again to the Saco Grange for everything that you do for the community of Saco. With that, the next item up on the list tonight under general is there's a flu and Pfizer booster shot drive-through clinic this Saturday, October 9th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Saco Fire Department, 271 North Street, Saco, Maine, 04072. Again, that's flu and Pfizer booster shots. Drive-through clinic, Saturday, October 9th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Saco Fire Department. Okay, that brings us to item 5 of the agenda. Any committee correspondence to council? Councilor Hatch?
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. After canceling its 2 previous meetings scheduled since my council liaison responsibilities commenced, the Biddeford-Saco Old Orchard Beach Transit Committee met via Zoom on September 23rd. I just wanted to highlight a few items for the public. First of all, newly hired Executive Director Chad Hyde continues to settle into his new position after approximately 2 months on the job. Director Hyde comes to Saco from Albany, New York, where he spent many years working on numerous public transit initiatives for the transit authority there. Albany's transit system is the second largest in the state of New York. So Chad brings a wealth of practical knowledge, an abundance of enthusiasm, and a set of fresh ideas to his new role. And he's also simultaneously respecting the successful operating strategies that currently exist. Secondly, overall ridership on the transit system is slowly but surely trending upward towards its pre-pandemic level, which is good news. Third, using grants and non-local funding sources, the Biddeford-Saco Old Orchard Beach Transit operation has purchased 8 new trolleys and 2 new coaches to replace older models that are in the process of being officially decommissioned. In a joint effort, a funding effort with Greater Portland Metro, 2 new electric buses are being introduced into the fleet as well. And finally, current transportation routes are being reevaluated to determine the effectiveness of the transit system for its ridership. So there is a lot going on in that group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further committee correspondence to council? Councilor Johnson?
Thank you. So in the last several weeks, the site inventory and site selection committee for the schools has met. To date, I think we have roughly 20 or so properties that are on our list. And the last meeting, we began to make a matrix so that we could go through and kind of rate these properties. But if there's any properties out there that someone personally owns or knows of somebody that's at least 20 acres of usable acres, I'd contact the superintendent, or you could contact myself, because the list hasn't closed. We're still trying to compile whatever land is out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnston. Any further committee correspondence to council? Moving on. Item 6, public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the city council this evening during public comment? Please come forward and be heard. Seeing nobody coming forward, brings us to item 7, and that is approval of the minutes for September 13th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Councilor Berman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hatch. Any discussion on the minutes? Councilor Johnston?
Thank you. As I did last week or 2 weeks ago, I will be voting in support of the minutes, but I will remind everybody that for 20-plus months, I've asked for an opportunity to address the changes that were made to these minutes. I think it's a small ask, really, in the grand scheme of things, and I'm kind of largely disappointed that it's taken this long. So I'm kind of giving good faith effort here, and I'll vote in favor of them as presented, but I'm hoping in the next month, 2 months, I understand we have a lot going on, but I'd have an opportunity before council to address some of the changes I'd like to see. Several of you weren't even on council previously, when these changes were made, I believe Councilor Archer is the only one that was actually here when and the mayor, when we had the format we did previously for the minutes. It's some drastic changes, and there's just several small things that I'd like to see changed. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnston. We do plan to address the council rules and order of business at the first or second meeting in December, and that's when that issue will come up for discussion. Any further discussion over the minutes? Roll call vote on the minutes. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Brings us to item 8, consent item, and that is one item, 8A, and that is approve mayor's appointment to the Shoreline Commission of Barry Jackman, page 2 in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Councilor Berman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hatch. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote to approve the consent agenda. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Brings us to item 9, action items. 9A is a public hearing, Chapter 81, conveyance of city property, 509 Buxton Road, page 4 in the packet. Councilor Purdy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City-owned property at the corner of Buxton and Grant Roads is proposed to be sold. The property was foreclosed on by the city for the non-payment of taxes in January 2018. The Finance Department reports several attempts to communicate with the owner, a Russell Holler, with no response. The current assessment for the 16-acre parcel values the land at $153,800 and the building on the site at $39,500. The parcel has not been inspected for development potential. This item was reviewed by the Planning Board at its April 20th meeting. The board recommended that the Department of Public Works be consulted as to the advisability of retaining additional right-of-way along both Grant and Buxton roads, and that the remainder of the parcel be considered for sale by the city. The council discussed this item under new business during the June 7 meeting and requested input from the Conservation Commission, who also recommends the city to move forward with selling the property. I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Purdy to open the public hearing, seconded by Councilor Johnston to open the public hearing. Any discussion on open the public hearing? Roll call vote to open the public hearing. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Open the public hearing, passes 6-0 at 6:43 p.m. If there's anyone who would like to speak on this item, please come forward and be heard. Seeing nobody seeking recognition, Councilor Purdy.
I move to close the public hearing and to schedule the final reading for October 18, 2021.
Motion's been made by Councilor Purdy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Berman. Close the public hearing and set final reading. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Brings us to item B, a public hearing for Phillips Spring Covenants, page 6 in the packet. Councilor Gunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On July 26, 2018, the city of Saco purchased approximately 42 acres of land from Sweetser located off Moody Street, Interstate I-95, and Industrial Park, identified as Tax Map 42, Lot 1, for $700,000. A subdivision plan, including the construction of Phillips Spring Road, a parcel for the Public Works facility, and 2 additional vacant parcels was approved by the Planning Board on July 30th, 2019. A prorated portion of the Phillips Spring Road was funded by the City of Saco's Tax Increment Financing, or TIF districts, for business or industrial park access. City staff will sell these parcels through an RFP process beginning in the next several weeks. In advance of awarding an RFP for the purchase and sale of the Phillips Spring parcels, covenants for the subdivision must be adopted. Staff worked with Attorney Tim Murphy to draft covenants consistent with the existing Millbrook and Spring Hill covenants. On September 13th, 2021, the Economic Development Commission unanimously voted to recommend the City Council adopt the Phillips Spring covenants as presented. Staff supports the adoption. I move to open the public hearing.
Motion is made by Counselor Gunn to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Hatch. Any discussion on open the public hearing? Roll call vote. Counselor Archer?
Aye.
Counselor Purdy?
Yes.
Counselor Gunn?
Yes.
Counselor Berman?
Yes.
Counselor Hatch?
Yes.
Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion to open the public hearing passes 6-0 at 6:46 PM. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please come forward and be heard. Seeing nobody seeking recognition, Counselor Gunn.
I move to close the public hearing and to schedule the final reading for October 18th, 2021.
Motion's been made by Counselor Gunn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Purdy. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Counselor Archer?
Aye.
Counselor Purdy?
Yes.
Counselor Gunn?
Yes.
Counselor Berman?
Yes.
Counselor Hatch?
Yes.
Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Brings us to item C, our first reading, amendments to zoning uses and definitions, page 28 in your packet. Unfortunately, this was assigned to Counselor McPhail, who is not able to be with us here tonight. Is there a counselor that would like to read this into the record? Counselor Berman, thank you.
Since Saco's new zoning ordinance was adopted earlier this year, staff discovered that several land uses are defined but not shown in the permitted and conditional use table, Table 3-3, and several uses shown in Table 3-3 do not have definitions in the ordinance. After holding a public hearing on September 14th, 2021, the Planning Board voted to recommend adoption of the changes to the uses and definitions section of the ordinance proposed by staff. These changes include limiting registered medical marijuana dispensaries, which are currently allowed in downtown and general business zoning districts by a conditional use approval, to only industrial and business industrial zoning districts. The City Council hereby approves the first reading of the zoning definitions and uses amendment and further moves to schedule a public hearing on October 18th, 2021.
Counselor Berman's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Johnston. Any discussion? Counselor Johnston?
Well, first, I just have the question. This is technically new business, isn't it? I mean, it hasn't come before us previously, so I would have thought we would have found it under new business so we could have more of a discussion on the changes. So was it supposed to be under new business and I got,
No, it's first reading.
okay. So, excuse me. I feel like kind of a lot to unpack here. I think, having just done this revision process less than a year ago, anytime you're making additions or subtractions to the use tables, they really need to be done with a fine-tooth comb. To me, that's the meat and potatoes of the ordinance. That's those uses, and I guess aside from dimensional standards, those are the areas that most individuals or property owners care about when it comes to zoning ordinance. So, here we are, roughly a year later with new changes, and a lot of this, and I understand a lot of these are things we missed, but I think that I would have preferred we had a little more opportunity to go through in that new business setting versus rolling right into the first reading of it. But, as of, the amount of time I've had to review it, there are a few things that kind of stand out to me. The first one, and perhaps this is just, again, I understand there's been a lot of staff turnover, and so perhaps this is just something that, they missed or what have you. But it looks like we're adding motor vehicle fueling stations back to the GB or the general business zone. This is something that was specifically removed during the revision process. It was discussed about for over a decade, going back to the 2011 comp plan, with the desire to change that corridor. And that corridor, for those that don't know, is that Elm Street up to Shaw's, where you currently have at least 2 gas stations. So the thought, and I specifically myself met with the former planner on more than one occasion about this, was that we would remove them because it's not the highest and best use for those parcels in the future. What's currently there is grandfathered to begin with, so it really has no impact to them. But why would you open that corridor up to more fueling stations? So there's that. So I would be bringing an amendment in the future to remove that, as was, again, which is consistent with the comp plan and was the intent of the zoning ordinance revision. The other thing I noticed was, let's see, so we added definitions for farm stands and flea market, which they're not allowed in the GB or the downtown district. And I think that on the surface, you can kind of understand why, but at the same time, I look at it and go, I don't understand how the current farmers market operates. I don't know what they're zoned under, what their use is. So I wouldn't want to preclude them from operating, or future farmer markets. Years ago, there used to be one in the downtown. So I think that perhaps how it's defined, or adding them back in to those 2 zones would probably make some sense. There's a few other things, but I guess I'll address them with the planner. Thank you.
If you have amendments that you'd like to submit, please submit them to City Administrator Canrath. Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Councilor Hatch.
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. Just a minor note on scrolling through the definitions, and it may sound like a trite issue, so forgive me for that, but we have a newly inserted definition for golf courses. At least it's in red on page 42 of our packet. As I read that definition, I have no problem with it as it reads for normal golf courses, but I'm not sure that it allows for disc golf, which seems to be a growing recreational pursuit. So I'm not sure we need another definition for disc golf, but if that golf course definition can be modified slightly to include disc golf, which has no putting green, so the current definition you have there probably would not apply. That might not be a bad adjustment to that, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Councilor Hatch, if you have amendments that you would like to see, that you would like the city to prepare for you to make at a subsequent meeting, please send that to City Administrator Canrath. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Brings us to item 10, which is new business. Item A, Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, page 65 in your packet. And I believe we will have some sort of presentation from Economic Development Specialist Jessa Berna. Excuse me.
Hi, thanks for having me tonight. I don't really have a presentation, basically just sort of a summary of what this is. Basically, the Conservation Commission is looking for and recommended an endorsement from the City Council to endorse the federal legislation, the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. This is a bipartisan bill that currently has 70 co-sponsors, including Shelley Pingree. This is an incremental carbon tax that over time taxes carbon emissions and then provides a dividend back to the American people. And right now, both of our senators are on the subcommittee and are looking for, have stated that they would vote in favor of this bill if they heard support from municipalities and other constituents of the state. So at this time, the Conservation Commission is looking for an endorsement from the council on this. There's nothing that would be required in terms of other actions or follow-up. It is really more a gesture of support to reduce carbon emissions. It kind of goes in hand in hand with the recent declaration of climate emergency in support of that. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Economic Development Specialist Berna? Councilor Berman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not so much a question, just I guess a restatement. The Conservation Commission spent a great deal of time discussing this bill. It has two key features. One is it taxes carbon at the source of the carbon, and therefore is supposed to penalize or diminish the mining and industrial creation of carbon sources. And second, the dividends go to the American people in a very progressive fashion. So those with the most income receive the smallest dividends, and those with the least incomes receive the largest dividends, thereby estimating that the average family of four would see very little or no impact of the carbon tax because it would be offset with the dividend. Those with the least means would see a net benefit to their income, and those with the most means would be really paying for the system because their carbon tax burden would be larger than the dividends they receive back. In addition, the Conservation Commission spent some time discussing how this kind of system might affect Saco, and in general, the thought was not very much. We do rely quite a bit on natural gas, and we're putting in natural gas lines throughout the city. But in this scheme as presented, although that is a source of carbon and therefore would be taxed, it's a preferred source of carbon because it's relatively clean compared to coal and oil. And so it was thought that the burden on Saco would be minimal. And finally, although if you went to the webpage as presented, it lists only a handful of Maine towns who've endorsed this. My understanding is that number has grown quite a bit, and there's now maybe more than a dozen Maine towns who we could join in endorsing this act. And again, the only purpose is to signal Saco's support to our congressional delegation, who would then have the obligation of supporting it in the United States Congress, where it would become federal law and affect our whole nation.
Thank you, Councilor Berman. Any further questions or comments on this item? Councilor, is there any objection to a resolve in our next meeting to support this? Councilor Archer?
So the first part of your question, no, I don't mind at all. But the second one is, I was trying to recall in my brain, has MMA, the LPC committee, I've not seen this to be voted on. I just wanted to know if they have had that opinion or not. It's not necessarily I'm against it. I was just looking more for, is the message the same from MMA and when the city does it?
I'm not sure whether MMA
Okay.
is interested, but I can definitely look into that and get back to
Yeah,
the
please,
council
because
for sure.
I just want to make sure we're not we're contradicting yourselves at certain levels.
absolutely.
But, yeah, no, I'm on board with this.
City Administrator Canrath?
Yeah, I was just I think because this is a federal legislation,
Yeah,
by the
that's why I
state,
was-
they probably haven't weighed on it, but perhaps we can reach out to someone there to see if there is an MMA position, but because this is federal, I think they probably haven't. That's why you haven't seen an LPC.
I think that's exactly why.
And is there anyone who would like to be the liaison for the resolve? Councilor Berman? Thank you very much, Jessica. That brings us to item B of new business, which is a Parks and Rec update. Director Summer?
Good evening, councilors. How are you doing tonight? I'm here because Mr. Archer at the last meeting brought up 12 School Street recreational facility, and really kind of gave me the thought of coming here and not just talking about 12 School Street, but some of the other projects as well. But to start off with 12 School Street, since July 1, we have worked diligently to try to get contractors in there to take a look at it. We have gutted the facility on the first floor, so all the hideaway rooms, all the corners that are in that facility have been taken out to make it into one large gathering space as you walk in. As it becomes, the first floor becomes a teen center. Through some of the numbers that we have kind of gathered, we're looking at about $20,000 to reconstruct some of the walls, put in the office space, build a couple bathrooms. Plumbing's going to be about $20,000. Electrical's going to be about $30,000, and the fire control is going to be about $40,000. So we're roughly about $100,000 to $110,000. Appreciation to Councilor Johnston for getting about $75,000 at the budget. So there's going to be some money that we might be coming back to you to request to help finish just the first floor. The second floor is a second tier of once we get the first floor open. We're hoping to start with the electrical side of the project by the end of the month. Right now, the only electricity in that facility is to keep the 2 mini splits going, as well as the dehumidifier in the basement. So we will be bringing in electrical for the first floor, but also bringing up the electrical to the second floor with another 200 amp. So when we start the second floor, it will be there. Same thing with the fire control, the fire suppressant. It will be pretty much built into the first floor with the pipes going up to the second floor, so we can begin that project when that is ready to go. To answer your question about April, I think we have a fair shot for April to be open. I'm going to shoot for the end of April. My hope is the beginning of April, but again, I don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. But to set that off for us, we're going to begin to do some team programming at the community center, usually pretty much a Thursday, Friday night, and a Saturday afternoon. So we can begin to jumpstart that program. And so once the teen center does open up, or 12 School Street does open up, that we will have a constituent that will be coming over and utilizing that facility as we get going. Some of you guys might have taken a walk over to Diamond Riverside Park. That is going through a pretty good rehab phase. Between my arborist and the outsourced arborist that we brought in, we cut down a good amount of trees over there. So I'll be the first one to admit that we did cut down a good amount of trees over there. A lot of them were decaying and dying. A lot of them were very hazardous. But with that said, we've met with a landscape architect today. I will meet with another one tomorrow to begin to lay that out. But for people who are unaware of what that park will become, some of the upgrades that we're doing to the park, where we rehab the boat launch. We'll extend it deeper into the water to make it more accessible for boats to get in and out of the water. We'll extend the dock system another 8 feet, so when somebody takes the boat off the trailer, they have actually something to tie up to. We'll create a trail system that goes around the park. We will also put a couple platforms that will go off the bank of the park so people can fish or enjoy the scenery over there as well. We will add another play structure and move the current play structure into the middle of the park, as well as a gazebo or a pavilion. And right now, until spring, it will be, once it's all taken care of, it will become seeded. And then from there, that will be pretty much where we will dedicate most of our trees that will be memorial trees that will begin to be replanted over there. We really, in my mind, taking back that park. Right now we have 12 spaces for boats and trucks. We're going to expand the parking lot so we can put regular cars over there as well. A lot of this money that will become from will be through the open space account, as well as some TIF money that will expand that facility as well. The second phase of that is to get to the back side of about the 25 acres that are behind the railroad trestle and create a trail system that will go out back behind that. So that this will be built into two phases, but this park will really become a gem to the city of Saco as it moves forward and so forth. Boothby Park, out off of Lincoln Road, I think it's Lincoln Road, out in North Saco. That was supposed to be done, but unfortunately the playground Uniplay, the facility caught fire at the early June, so everything's been pushed back. I'm hoping to have the play structure delivered by October 13th with an install by the end of this month. So that, again, that will be one of the last play structures and last neighborhood parks that we will rehab over the course of the year. Next year, we'll take care of the basketball courts at surrounding communities, at Boothby Park, at Ryan Farm, and a couple others, as we enhance those play structures and parks around the city. For programs for us, you know, coming out of COVID, we're pushing pretty hard. You know, we're pretty close to what we were coming out of 2019. Attendance for our After the Bell program is about 40 kids less than it was in 2019. We could have gone more, without lying to you. We really could have gone more. And it really came down to the number of staff and the number of kids that we wanted to put in a facility that we felt that was safe, that we felt that we could control and keep around the coronavirus. And if the world kind of went back to what it was a year ago, how would we adjust our programs and so forth? So we didn't want to completely go out, but we're pretty big this year with the After the Bell program. Our senior programs are back. We're doing lunch and learns. We're doing field trips. We've got a trip that's planned for March, if anybody's interested, out to the Grand Canyon for our seniors, which was the next step that we wanted to take and expand our senior programs going out there. We've added a theater program this winter that has 40 young, anywhere between 3rd grade to 8th grade that participating in that program. We'll do a couple shows for Christmas time. So we really begin to expand back to what we wanted to do, to kind of get out of the cusp of coronavirus, be safe at what we're doing, but at the same time, we want to be the department in Southern Maine that really begins to set the thresholds of what we're doing. And, you know, I have an unbelievable staff, and they work diligently, and they're phenomenal at what they do. And again, I can't thank them enough for what we've been able to do. And, you know, knock on wood, the first 6 weeks, we've done a very, very nice job, and we hope that we continue to do the same moving forward.
Any questions for Director Summer? Councilor Berman?
Thank you, Director Summer. Fantastic news on the Teen Center. I'm excited about that. I did receive an email from a constituent today about the senior programming and the pandemic.
Yep.
And just wondering if special measures are required to protect that vulnerable population, what we're doing, and how we're keeping them safe.
So when we go on field trips, anytime they ride public transportation or a lot of transportation, they are required to wear masks. The state or the federal regulations, they do not require to have single seats or single riders to the seat, so we do not do that, but they are required to wear masks. When they come into our facility, for the people who are unaware, because we have kids in our facility, if you're on the first floor of our facility, we do require all people entering the facility to wear masks, because again, the seniors and the youth in our program, they're not vaccinated and so forth. If when we're outside, obviously we are unmasked at that point. When you come to the second floor, if they're in room 203, they're playing cards, they do lunch and learns, we leave it up to them if they're masked or not. But again, when they're on transportation, when we travel them back and forth, they are required to wear masks.
Any further questions? Comments? Director Summer, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
City Administrator Keenrath, that brings us to your administrative update, which is item 11 on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Federal vaccine mandate, as you may have seen, President Biden recently announced a vaccine mandate for organizations of 100 employees or more. That includes us. So we are currently awaiting OSHA to issue what's called an emergency temporary standard to provide a framework before we can create a local policy for our employees. But this is coming, just so everyone is aware, and we do intend to obviously fully comply with that and all of the guidelines put down from the federal government. Reminder, election 2021 for the November 2nd election, absentee ballots are available starting today at the clerk's office. You can also request them online on the clerk's office webpage. We will be having our annual employee appreciation event on October 13th from 11 to 1:30 at our new Public Works facility. We'll have lunch, desserts, raffle prizes, and to-go boxes for those who are unable to attend. We hope to see everyone there. And we do intend to close City Hall for those 2.5 hours so everyone can participate that works here. My next City Administrator's employee open office hours will be also on October 13th from 3 to 4:30 here on the second floor of City Hall. Of course, all Saco City employees are welcome and encouraged to attend to share any thoughts or issues they may have. I'd also like to welcome some new employees to our organization. Brooke Cobbett has joined our assessing department as their new administrative listing assistant. Amanda Gray has recently joined our finance team on the first floor as a customer service representative. John Crowley has recently joined our public works department as a truck driver. And in our police department, we have two new patrol officers, Loretta Blakeney and Chandor Vincent. And I'd like to welcome all of them to the city of Saco and, of course, wish them great success in their careers here. And we're happy to have them all here with us on our team. So, thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for City Administrator Canrath? Okay, moving on to item 12, council discussion and comment. Any council discussion and comment tonight? Okay, that brings us to item 13 and 14. There is no executive session. Brings us to item 15. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Councilor Hatch, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Purdy. Any discussion? Roll call vote to adjourn. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 at 7:11. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.